Okay, so now let's get started with our actual model. So here we have a clean version of Blender, nothing too special. I'm just gonna get rid of these things. I don't need a light and a camera. And let's press C and let's have a look at our cube. So I think the first thing that I want to do is I first just want to decide my overall scale. Just with like some kind of like a block out. I think this is actually quite a good scale. Let's see. Just because I don't want to have it too big, like I want to have it a little bit more compact. Here, see, I quite like this, so it's a little bit thinner. I think that will look a little bit nicer. So let's give this a try. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just grab this cube that we have over here. And you know what, so if we go to our Maxivis tools over here, let's just open this up. Start by turning on wireframe toggle, just to make it a bit easier. So let's see, I'm just eyeballing it a little bit, and then I will go in my item and just make the measurements a bit more precise. That's what I often do if I make single props, because single props, you don't necessarily need to scale them based upon a person, because you can scale them later on. But the dimensions within the prop, like the thickness and everything, they need to be correct, of course. So I'm gonna go for something like this. Something you want to remember is if we go to our reference, for the corners, we are not just going to go for sharp corners. We are going to go for like these round corners that you often see. So that is something that you definitely want to remember. I will have... here, I'll have this one on my screen for now, but this one is square. We are going to go for like some round corners. Just because it bounces off the lighting a little bit better. So I'm gonna go for, let's say, something like this. And then we have our width. Don't know why. That's an optical illusion. That feels like it's tilted, I believe. Yeah, nothing's tilted. That just looks weird. I'm gonna go for... I think a width like this is fine. And maybe like make it a little bit wider. And let's just move this up. Like this. That is really weird that it feels like it's tilting. But it's not. You can go press the little button next to the 1. I always forget what it is, just to double check. Yeah, see? That is strange. I've never actually had that before. So we have this one. Shall I go a little bit... maybe make it a little bit wider. Just like a tiny bit. Let's go for something like this. Then what you want to do is you want to go into items and transforms. And I just like to set this a little bit more precise. So this one, the X scale, actually you know what, let's do it in this way. So dimensions is 3 meters. Of course this is really big, but it's about the evenness. It's not so much for me about the thickness of everything. By 1 meter by, yeah, okay, so we definitely need 2.2 meters. There we go. So it's just about having even dimensions. And now that we know this, we can use this one as like our base. So the first thing that we want to do is we probably want to go ahead and start creating our very base of our aircon unit. So if we go over here, the base consists out of a few pieces. So we have our actual, literally our body piece, which I think we will make first. Then we have a bottom panel. And then we have a top panel. So that is the differences where we will work on. So for our body piece, it is going to be pretty simple. I will probably replicate this side over here. And I will stick on, let's see, I will stick on something like this roundness next to it. Like here, this is a pretty good one. And for the rest, honestly, it's just making something up. I think we will go for something like this, where it is embedded. Like the cylinder is embedded into here. I think that will look quite nice. And of course we have the base. So knowing that, so many images, I really need to... Yeah, here. Oh yeah, no wait, let's do something like this. Let's create like something a bit more interesting like that. So I'm gonna go for those things. After a while I will know the order of my images and it will take me less long to swap between them. And I will also just try and avoid doing that on camera because it might take a while. So we have this piece. Okay, let's say that I'm just going to go ahead and Ctrl-C, Ctrl-V to duplicate it. Right-click, move to collection. And we're going to make a collection that we'll call block out. Just to keep and then you can turn it off, just to keep like something in there. So for this, if we just go to edit mode by pressing tab, I do expect that you already know like how to go to edit mode, stuff like that. It's just a force of habit for me to say it. So yeah, that's about it. I'm going to move this down a little bit. The reason I do this is because it is simply for, if we look at our block out, it is simply because later on there's going to be like a lid on top of this. So I already want to move this down just so that I know. And now for these pieces, if we assume that this piece is like the very end over here, then what we can do is we can start placing some lines to push some other pieces up here and then push them out. So I'm going to go ahead and start by pushing that out. The way that I can do that is very easy. I can press Ctrl-R, which is the shortcut that we have set up for our loops, cut and slide. I can set it over here and just use your scroll wheel to create two lines. And then if you just go ahead and place them, go to the scaling mode. You can now just use your scaling to move them evenly away from each other. And we want to move them roughly to where we have, let's say, in between these 2 points. So it's not too precise, of course, so just take it with a grain of salt, but let's go for something like this. Now, once you've done that, you can press Ctrl-B, which is the bevel. And because a bevel on a flat piece will just create a simple separation in lines, it's a very easy way to just quickly like create small separations. Now that we have done that, now all that we need to do is we need to select these two end faces, move them up, and there you can see, so that will create that piece. And then later on, when we create like our bottom piece, it will just cut through here, so it will then turn this back into a square. For now we are only focused about the shell pretty much. So we got this, and then like for example I decide that I want to have this a little bit steeper. Click, I'll shift double click. I'm just going to select this. And if you hold shift, you can do more precise scaling like this. So it's less snappy. And I'm just going to set it like this, so that it's a little bit like a thinner piece. Now looking at that, then what we get is we get 4 soft corners over here. However, I'm not yet going to do that, because when I add a bevel to create a soft corner and add my scroll wheel, you can see that, yeah, don't ignore how it looks like now, but you can see that it starts to break the polygon formation because it doesn't have any connections, which just makes it more annoying for us to later on edit more. So if this is the front, we will now go over to the back, and for the back I will basically just like cut out this little piece, and yeah, that should be fine. So I'll cut out a little piece over there. Then what I will do is on the other side, I will probably just keep it nice and straight, because we're going to go for something different. So if we go in here, Ctrl-R, just create like 2 lines. And let's scale those in. Oh, not like that. Scale those in on the, what is it? On the y-axis. Let's go for something like that. That should be fine. Then do another Ctrl-R and just place another line here where you want to have the cut to happen. Like this. And now at this point, I think the easiest thing for us to do is if we go in, you want to select these faces, because remember it's a shell. So we want to turn it into a shell. And then also select, oh no wait, do not select that one. We will do that one later. We first need to go in here. We need to then go ahead and I believe that inset might be broken. Yeah, see here. So the inset is broken here. Now something that you can do to fix it, because you saw that the bevel was also broken, and that is how I knew that the inset might also be broken. So if we go to object mode, just press Q and reset all your transforms. And once you've done that, you should be able that the inset is now, see, now it is a lot nicer. So I'm going to give this a shell. I'm going to make it quite a thin shell, so just something like this. And once that is done, I probably want to go to my, let's say, right view. Press Alt-X to go into X-ray mode, or you can do it up here. Shift-E to extrude. And then I'm just going to right-click. If you do extrude and then the right-click, it will just stay into its place. Which means that now you can just freely move this up and down. And I can just say like, okay, I want to move it up until here. And you know why I'm doing that. It's just because of this little piece. Now I can do Alt-X again. So now that you have these pieces, just delete them. I don't care about those anymore. All I want to do now is I just want to cut out this layer over here. And then simply go in here, select these two faces, press Q, and in our menu, go to Bridge Edge Loops. Select these two, Q, Bridge Edge Loops. And for this one, what I tend to do, is, because it might be a little bit messy, is to just do a Shift-E, right-click to leave it into place, move this out. And then if you go to Vertex mode, you can go ahead and you can go into your Maxivis tools and click Target Weld Toggle. And Target Weld Toggle just does the snapping. So it, I should have showed you already in the first chapter. The reason why I'm saying I should have is because the introduction chapter about how to set everything up, I always make that after I've done the entire tutorial. So if I have been a good tutor, I should have showed you that, what it does. But in this case, we simply have this one, and for now, we can just turn off Target Weld Toggle. Maybe move this down to make it a bit more straight. So we have this piece. Now in here, I like to work quite clean, even though it's not really necessary, because later on you won't be able to see this. I just like to quickly select these two edges and just make them straight. Like that. Just because now we have like a nice straight loop. And then in here, of course, you just have empty faces. You can see those by going down here and turning on face orientation. So this is all empty faces, meaning that you can see through them. They're back faces. But that doesn't matter because we only care about like that. The rest will all be covered by our base plate over here. So let's say that that is done. I'm just having a quick look. So we got that piece over there. Now, of course, we do need to create like this shape out of this. However, that shape is a bit more complicated. So what I want to do is I want to go ahead and first of all probably do like, well actually first of all do the round corners and then we will do the top. So for the round corners, aim for something like, oh sorry, wrong way. Aim for something like you can see over here. It might be a little bit difficult to see. You can see it over here, see? So just go for some round corners. So I'm just gonna turn off my face orientation. Go to object mode, Q, and just reset the transforms for good measure. And now the thing with the round corners is that we need enough space. If we do Ctrl B now, I think we have just enough space. Like over here you can see that there's some overlapping going on. But actually, you know what? I think we have enough space. If you do not have enough space, simply select these edges, move them up. It's that easy. So for now, just let's say double click on, yeah, because we want to go all the way around. So double click here, 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 and here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to decide on like my roundness. So press Ctrl B, use your scroll wheel to add more or less segments. I'm going to go for, I don't know how many are placed. I just want to have something that looks nice and round. Here, once you've placed it, you can go into the bevels here. And you can see, okay, so we have 9 segments. And we have a nice round corner. And the roundness immediately goes over into this edge. It has a tiny bit of clipping, but I can fix that. And it's just like here. Round corner goes immediately over into the edge. And then continues on. So that's pretty good. I'm happy with this. So I went with an offset of 0.113. But of course, just go with your guts. Maybe we will go for like 0.11 just to make it even. And 9 segments, but that doesn't really matter too much as long as it looks smooth. As long as when you right click and for example do a shade flat and turn off wireframe. Oh. Hello? Maybe go down here to normals and do an auto smooth. Hello? Q, reset. Let's try it in here. Sorry, for some reason it doesn't want me to do that. Mesh, shading, smooth. Oh, I'm shade. Sorry, it's morning. It's morning here. Basically, this needs to look smooth. I was pressing shade flat, but of course I need to press shade smooth. So that's literally just me still waking up. Because the only time that I have time to make these tutorials is just after I woke up. So anyway, enough about that. I'm gonna go in here. I just want to fix some stuff. I want to go ahead and in these ones, let's just do a target weld toggle. Let's fix them using target weld toggles. You just have these. Here, there's another one here, but you cannot see it. So just wiggle around your vertex, and when you wiggle it around, it will automatically weld. So yeah, this one I can see. Just move it. This one I can see. Just wiggle it around a bit, and then it will automatically merge. So we just want to merge those two. Same over here, because you do not want to have weird overlapping vertices like that. And I always like to fix these things right away, because else I forget. Because there will be a point where we have thousands of vertices, and then of course it's hard to keep track of that little one. Turn off target weld toggle, and there we go. So we have a very easy base object. Now if you want to make this look a little bit better, you can turn on auto smooth down here, and then the right click and shade smooth. That is what I was trying to do. And when you do that, it will smooth it based upon an angle. So you can set the angle here. And 30 degrees is more than enough for us to just make sure that these are hard faces, but then it nicely like smooths down. So now that we've done that, we are gonna go and work on our panel over here. So for our panel, I'm just gonna go ahead and I'm going to steal this one over here. So if we just go ahead and let's grab this one. You know what, just press Q and just press separate the selection over here, so that it becomes a new object. I always do a quick pivot after separating it, just to set the pivot in the center. But the goal for this one is first of all let's go to our vertex mode. I can get rid of these two lines, so just select them, press Ctrl backspace, because I want to have like a clean model. Get rid of these, and get rid of these. We will clean up the model anyway later on. So now it's just like a shell basically. Let's turn on my wireframe toggle and let's have a look. So in order to make this, you can see that it is extending out a tiny bit everywhere. It's so small that I probably want to do that by hand. And then we just extrude this out. And then we just give it also a round corner near the very top. And then we can call it a day. So for this one, I'm gonna go ahead and go to wrong button. Go to edit mode. Press 1 to go into vertex mode. Just make sure it selects. And I'm just gonna look at it from the bottom and just kind of like push it out like a little bit like that. Just to have it fairly precise. Same over here. And because there is like always some snappiness to it, you can often get it pushed out exactly the same amount. Yeah, like I can see that this is like a bit too fast, so I'm just pushing it in a bit too more. I am going to push it out a bit further than you would in real life, and this is just because in 3D, having edges so close together doesn't always actually look good. So you kind of like want to find a good balance between having it realistic and still having it read well and have the lighting respond to all these edges correctly. So here you can see like, based upon this, I can roughly see how far I want to have it pushed out. Like that. So we got that pushed out. That is all fine. Our faces are most likely inverted, but it doesn't matter for now. I'm just going to go to edge mode. Double click on it. Press Shift E and just leave it into place. And then move this up. Here we go. Yeah, so it looks like that they are inverted. So this face down here, we actually want to keep this face. So there is a face here, right? Yes. We actually want to keep this face because, of course, we want to make it feel like it is just sticking in somewhere. One thing I'm not too happy about is maybe this one over here needs to be pushed out a little bit more. There we go. I think. Yeah, see? Yeah, that looks a little bit more even. Okay, so we got that one. And now that we have this top piece, if you want, you can just go to your blockout and just like try and match it a little bit more with your blockout. And if I have a look, that looks, I think I want to make my edge a little bit bigger. We can always just scale things down later on. So let's make it a little bit thicker. Tiny bit more. I'm just looking at my reference, by the way, whenever I say and stuff like that. I'm just having a think. So yeah, here, tiny bit more. That should be fine. And now for the top, in order to just fill it, because we first want to have clean geometry for a bevel, what I tend to do is I just tend to press Q. And then I tend to press new edge face from vertices, because this one does not create any extra lines. So it will look the same as like the bottom one. Now, after I've done that, just quickly go into object mode, press Q and just reset the transforms, just in case. And now if we go back to edit mode, we can press Ctrl B. There we go. And now we can make this and like a round piece. And I'm not going to go too round. So how something like that. So I'm just having a quick look at my reference over here. Yeah, because they are often quite sharp. Here, this is more something that I want. So I'm probably, yeah, I'm too round. I need to go a little bit less. Let's turn off wireframe toggle sometimes just to have a look at it. Oh, out smooth turn on. Yeah, see here. So you can see already that the lighting just kind of like nicely bounces off it. That is good. I like that. So that's good for the top. And for the rest, we don't need anything fancy here on the top. As far as I know, there is nothing. Well, you won't really be able to see it anyway. Like if you want, you can like set something here. But honestly, we are not going to make any renders like that. So in my case, I'm just going to keep it very simple. I'm going to go in, press 1. And new tool, press K. This cut tool, I'm sure many of you are familiar with it. So if you press K, you can go to the cut tool. This is also in the base blender. So, or it should be, and else you can find it. It's down here somewhere. Cut, or else you can find like up here. Here, knife. So cut, knife, sorry if I call it cut, it's a knife tool. So basically getting the knife tool, it just creates some new edges, which means that I can create 2 edges over here. And this means that this now is a clean geometry because we have split it away from all the bad geometry down here. So I can simply select this face. And what I'm going to do in this case is I'm just going to press I to insert it. And just for the sake of detail, insert it again with I. So that we insert it again and just move this up a bit. There we go. That's literally all I'm going to do. So it just has like, that might even be too much. Just set a bit lower. You know what? Let's undo this. Oh, too far. Let's try that again. I, like this, and then I, but set it very close together. A bit more. There we go. See? Very subtle. But the edge will catch lighting if we happen to look at it from that side. So that's what I did for the top. So our top low poly is pretty much done. So we will later on go ahead and turn that into a high poly. Let's do a quick pivot just to center it. Okay, now we have this side over here. If we have a look at it, so there's a few things that we need to do with it that is quite important. The first thing I want to do a focus on is I probably want to focus on, where are you? There we go. I probably want to focus on this side. Now ignore this console over here. Those are separate objects. Same for this one. It's all separate. I want to just focus on this shape that we have around here. And on the other side, what we are going to do is, yes, we are from the front, we are just going to cut in a hole. But on the other side, we are going to go ahead and we are going to, come on, it must be here somewhere. Something like this. There we go. I want to do something like this so that we can see like a little bit of the inside, just to make it look a little bit more interesting. And we'll take it from there. So, knowing all that, let's move it over here. And I think in the next chapter that we will go ahead and we will continue with the side.